So here we've got RGT Wolverine, and this is a particularly interesting variety because this is the first commercially available BYDV resistant wheat that we have in the UK. So this came to the market last year. I mean obviously as we are in the north, we possibly have slightly less issues with BYDV than growers do further south in parts of England. However, it does still occur up here, and as climates change and things get warmer, we probably are going to see more BYDV going forward. Anyway, this variety came to the market last year, and it brings that resistance to it, so it's resistance rather than tolerance. Around that, the rest, yeah, it has reasonable septoria resistance. I think last year we always felt its Achilles heel was possibly its yellow rust resistance. Interestingly enough, this year, looking through the plot, obviously we've seen high levels of yellow rust in some of the plots beforehand. This is actually remarkably clean still. David, I don't know if you just want to comment.
Yeah, it's possibly just starting, whereas last year it was pretty rife with yellow rust, and I think it is. Yeah, just there's obviously something going on with the strains of yellow rust which the pathologists are sort of working on at the minute. Going back to the aphid side of it, you know, we're getting increasing pressure all the time to reduce aphicide usage through regenerative agriculture and sort of, you know, environment stuff. So, you know, it might become more topical for us in the future, but this last couple of years we have reduced our aphicide. We haven't seen a lot of BYDV, odd pockets, but like Laura says, the climate is changing and who knows. So, you know, we need to be very aware of these varieties. This is the first in a pipeline, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there are, RAGT have others following behind, and I think other plant breeders are working with similar material going forward as well. I mean, the other thing to point out from last year was, yeah, in terms of yield, it's not matching the high yields of some of the other hard group 4s. So there does always tend to be a price to pay, but I mean, as I say, it looks remarkably clean this season, and actually both Paul and I were saying it's going to be interesting to see how it performs.
The concept is a really interesting one. I mean, there's no doubt about it, you know, that BYDV trait, resistance trait, is going to crop up in varieties going forward, and breeders are actively working with that behind the scenes now, and we'll see new varieties being commercialised in the near future. Unfortunately, agronomically, other than that, Wolverine did look a little bit flawed, and last year, if I'm honest, it slightly bombed. It's brought to the market in a slightly different way as well, where it's done with an area payment, which to some degree captures the value that perhaps the grower would have used on spending on something like Ready Go to Tour. It perhaps made it look a little expensive compared with other varieties, and for one reason or another it never really took off. We all think it looks better here this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's looked, you know, a little late when we first come in the plots. It's always got those little twisted ears. It always looks a little bit later, and you know, it's untreated yield. Indeed, its yield in the north in general is perhaps a little bit off the pace, as Laura says. But you've got to say what you see, and it's looked okay this year. Whether the variety will bounce back at all, I don't know. I happen to think that probably it'll be son of Wolverine or son of Wolverine that will probably take the concept forward. But yeah, be interesting to see how maybe it just had a bad year last year.
I know. I mean, you never know with these things. But yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it's been a good starting point, and we'll see what follows on behind it.